Hello, hello. I am live. This is a late night live because I was sitting here working and I said I'm just go live. Technically it's really 10:22. So, even though I despise daylight savings, it worked in my favor because it's not as late, right? But it is late. So hello everyone. Those of you who are going to be popping in and those of you who are going to be tuning in later on the replay. Hey y'all, hey heart community. Um I've just been in so much reflection and I said I wanted to just come on and chat. So hang out with me if you can. If not, I just really need this for my portfolio. So I can save this and send it where it needs to go. But I was talking to my global. I'm trying to get this shared over to the community. So I was talking to. Oh, y'all are popping in here. What are y'all doing up at 9:23? Hey, Nappy. So I was talking to my global public relations person, which is Celia Jacobs over in the Philippines, and she does all of my she does my tour, right? The Leading with Love tour. And so we met with the travel agent on yesterday, and it was just so much fun listening to all of the places, she feels that's really good for me to go because, from last year, those people who connected with me and, now it's like, oh, I want the Leading with Love, Love Gathering to come here. And so she's been really just creating that synergy. And so she gives me the list, right? So hey, Meg Dreaming. So I trust her. I trust the journey. I trust the process. And I don't question her. Like, I don't question her when she says, like, I think this is going to be a great impact. And something else beautiful we were talking about is having one of our stops be a sponsored a TED Talk. Like Nappy Coach. Like, Nappy Coach would make a great TED Talk. She is a great speaker. She has really honed in on her message about, the transformation of, the butterfly, the whole metamorphosis talk. She got it, right? And so it's so cool to be waiting to hear that one of the stops on the Leading with Love tour will be a TED Talk sponsored event. And I'm so excited about that because I've never desired to do a TED Talk, right? So anyway, we're talking, and because right now I'm just rambling because I'm getting energized on what I really want to talk about, which is what more can you do to expand and grow as a leader. So we're chit chatting, and she drops the tour on me. So I'll be leaving here May 1st. And the beautiful thing is anybody can join the tour. So, we had people to join the tour on last year. And of course, we want more and more and more people to connect with us, regardless of where you are in the world. So we are very intentional this year. We have a travel agent. I was able to meet her on yesterday. If you go to my Facebook page or my LinkedIn page, you can kind of see a little snippet of the video where I'm like, when do I sleep? Like, Celia, when am I going to sleep? Right. So I'll be leaving here on the 1st. Wait until I finish Toastmasters. you know, there's no waiting. We can't wait anymore now because the time is now, honey. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But So anyway, let me just tell you about the tour because you may be inspired to want to go, right? Maybe you have a desire to be a global speaker, to be a global facilitator, because I don't feel that I'm a speaker. I really feel it. I feel that I'm a facilitator. So I'm leaving on the 1st, but the tour actually starts May 3rd, and we will be in Bali, Indonesia. So May 3rd through the 4th, we will have a retreat. The retreat will center and focus our energy because we're going to be moving and shaking. So this is going to be very spiritual. It's going to be really beautiful, and it will be in Bali. So a lot of you, wherever you are, you can either go through the travel agent or you can just plan your own trip, and we will put more detailed information as they're finished with all of the marketing. But the 3rd through the 4th will be in Bali, and then we will leave Bali and we will go to Singapore for my birthday. So last year we celebrated my birthday in Manila. So this year we'll be in Singapore. So May 5th and the 6th, we will do a mastermind retreat in Singapore and celebrate my birthday. So that's going to be real live, right? And then we will leave Singapore and we will go to, we will have a business meetup with some of the leading leaders there in Malaysia. And we will be in Malaysia May 7th and 8th. And we will also do, some other exploration because, of course, we want, if you're going to be spending your money, like we want you to have a grand time. And I will say this year when we did the tour, like I've been to the Philippines so many times. I've been to Southeast Asia so many times. And I think this is the most that I've done because of Celia really, planning it out. So it was really great. So the 7th and 8th will be in Malaysia. And then the 9th and the 10th, we will stop in Tagloban. So Tagloban is where our JICE Asia hub is. So we will visit, the tribe and the community there. I'm sure they're already planning what that's going to look like. It'll probably be more of a meetup and some cool things for us to do. And then we will go over to Manila, which is where the Love Gathering will be. So it will be summit style. There will be, different speakers. Last year it was so super dope. And then that will happen on May 11th. And then after that, everybody can decide what they want to do. So I'm really, really excited. Hey, Coach Mariah. So I'm really excited about this whole journey, this love gathering evolution that I'm going on, and really honing in on leadership, right? Why? Because I'm a leader. And me assessing, like I've been assessing my leadership since, really starting to hire on people, like really building a company. And what does it look like for me to be that person, just like you? What does it look like for you to be that person? Whether you are running a business, whether you are in management, or you are, if you have a family, you're still a leader. You're guiding, your children. So I still look at that as leadership. And these talks that I'm having all around the world about how can you do more? Like I'm really challenging leaders, heart center leaders, to step up because we are failing out here. Like every time you look on social media, you see more negative than positive. So how do we step up and stop, turning a blind eye to what's happening in our communities, what's happening in our workplaces, what's happening into our homes? If heart center leaders do not step up, if we don't start creating policies, if we don't start creating jobs, if we don't start, creating spaces where we can gather and refuel and motivate and encourage each other to keep going, then we're going to fail. And I think this is I think this what this whole movement, the more and more I get clarity on me and how I'm leading, this is what this movement is all about. Because I go through my own struggles. So I know if I'm going through my own struggles, and I'm very intentional about how I treat myself and how I treat others, then I know everybody is kind of going through these struggles, right? Hey Tasha, hey Sora, how you doing? So when we're talking about this, I have these key points, and people have been asking me like, hey Lakendra, do you have talks on your Leading with Love movement and how you are talking directly to leaders? And so I am going to start doing these talks so my people can piece them together and I can send them to wherever they need to go. So today, what I really want to address is, after talking to my team, so we meet on every first Monday of the month, and then I have a huddle Friday with my core team every week, right? And more and more and more, my leadership is being stretched. And I started to think about all of the negative leaders that I've had in the past. I'm talking about, you could be sitting in a meeting and they're screaming at you, they're dismissing you, they're not valuing your, your expertise. Like, it's very micromanaged. Like, I'm sitting and all of these flashes constantly come through my mind, and I'm like, okay, I see, right? I'm not validating it, y'all, but I see why they will behave that way. Because when we are working, if we don't have good work ethics, we are not working at our fullest potential. And when you have a leader that's leading you that it is not equipped with emotional intelligence and have their core values and their principles in place, and how they see themselves in that position, and if it's not centered with these things that I'm getting ready to talk about, I can understand why some of us work in very extreme, unhealthy spaces when leaders are not equipped with great emotional intelligence, right? And then we feel like we have to be stuck in these spaces because, oh, my livelihood and I have to pay my bills. And then what ultimately suffers is our, self-esteem, our emotional intelligence, and how we feel about ourselves. And then that causes a ripple effect in what we carry back home and what we carry into our communities. And this is the reason why the Leading with Love movement is so important for me, because we outnumber the negativity. We outnumber the negative people, but we're so afraid to do more. We stay in our cubby holes, and I'm speaking to myself because I was one of those people. I just created my own cubby hole where I was safe. I felt safe. I created the community that I wanted. I created the people that I wanted to work with, and those that I didn't want to work with, I didn't even pay attention to them. But I was in my own little cubby hole. And when we had the gala on Friday, I told a story about, I had this dream where I owned this island and my family was there, my friends were there, and we were happy. You could see joy, you could see peace and happiness, right? And the waters were crystal clear, they were blue, and we had everything we needed. But when I went to sleep, like, I saw myself sleeping in the dream, right? And I woke up and everything was dried out. The grass wasn't green, the sand was dirty and muddy. People around me, my family and my friends, were looking sad. And when I looked out into the ocean, all I saw was people. Like, it was so many freaking people that the water went dry. And all I could hear God saying to me in my dream was, these people need you. You cannot do this alone. You cannot create your own little world, little girl. This is not what I gave you to do. This wasn't the assignment. And I woke up and I journaled it out. And I changed the event because the event was a conference at first. I think those of you who attended the gala, you heard me say I changed the event 3 times. I changed the event to where I was recognizing strong leaders who are, they're in the trenches in their communities, they're doing the work, and I wanted to stand in solidarity with them. And so we honored so many beautiful people, maybe like 17 at the gala, and it ended up being such a beautiful event. And so here I am now getting ready to go back on tour. If you just not tuning in, you can go back and hear the just for May alone. That was just May's tour, but the tour actually starts in March in Charlotte, North Carolina. Then we go to Southeast Asia. Then we go to New York, and then we go to Nairobi, and then we come back home to end it with another gala. So for me, the things that we really have to start exercising in leadership, I want, if y'all are listening to this, just write these things down, okay? Grace, faith, love, humility, and patience. 5 things. 5 is my favorite number because 5 is grace. My birthday is 5/5/75, so I was born in triple grace. So I cannot negate that the grace is one of the most important, one of the most important cornerstones for exceptional leadership. And as I am growing, like this mega business, like this empire, my values and my principles are being tested, right? And I am really trying to break the generational cycle of abuse in corporate America. And it starts with me. It starts with me as a leader. Thank you. You taking notes. I love it. Grace, faith, love. Let me put that up here. And this is kind of like what I just want to do a quick overview of these because it's so important, because I've had some of the crappiest leaders in the past, and I also have worked directly under them and indirectly with them. And we bring our stress and our pain and our suffering and our lack of to our employment. We take them into our communities and we take them into our homes. And I'm talking about good leaders. I'm talking about us good leaders. I'm not talking about, those who have no intentions of wanting to do good. But I'm just talking about those. If you can identify of being a heart center leader, I'm talking about you and how we get caught up in that systematic mindset that it's okay to lead this way. And it's not okay. It's not okay. So I have really been implementing these strategies. I've been implementing these tools and these behaviors and characters into my own leadership. And it backfires on me. But I believe that me being the example will become my legacy. Because those that I am leading, if they can see how I offer them grace and faith and love and humility and patience, then just like a child being raised by parents, we pick up on behaviors and emotions. We get all of our foundation from how we were raised, but we're never done being raised. Y'all follow me? We're never done being raised. So just because you're an adult doesn't mean you're not being raised by whoever it is that's influencing you, right? If you're in a marriage or if you're in a committed relationship, you're both still being raised with each other, right? Whether it's with, his value or her values or whatever. So, these things start to marry together. If you work closely in an ecosystem, in a community, in a tribe, or whatever, you're being raised, you're being groomed, you know, to an extent. So for me, I want to explore like this path of leadership that's deeply rooted with these principles that I truly lead by. And when I talk about like grace in leadership, like what does that mean? When you hear that you need to have grace in leadership, just talk to me if you're on here. Put what that means for you to have grace in leadership. And I'm hoping that this is going to help whoever's listening at 9:42 p.m. Central Standard Time here. If you're struggling with that, because I get it, y'all. I be wanting to scream at the top of my lungs sometimes at my people. I be having these outer body experiences, just being like, I'm shutting my whole company down. You're all fired. Go find you a job. Like, I don't care. I literally be having these experiences and these moments inside of my mind. So I know if I am struggling with these things and saying, no, LaKendra, this is not the way we're going to lead, then I know that many, 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 many other people are too. So when I'm talking about grace and leadership, grace is really going to help you have exceptional leadership, right? Because this is your ability when you can extend kindness and compassion. Compassion, that word, that's a word that I learned from Monk Tashi when I was mentored by Monk Tashi years ago, and he talked, dearly about offering compassion, because compassion will allow you to put yourself in other people's shoes, even if you don't even understand. I don't have to understand, but it gives me understanding, even in challenging situations, because we have been in challenging situations in my company, yet because I believe in grace and leadership, I extend kindness and I have compassion for what I don't understand, so possibly I can understand, which means that communication has to be there, which means that I need to understand what is happening in your life. And I'm teaching my coaches that work for the Institute how to have transparency. They need to have transparency and they need to have grace. So this is very, very hard to do. It's very, very hard to do because we're here to make money, right? And I was telling them when I had my meeting with them on yesterday, I be tripping myself out sometimes too. And I just told them, y'all, it's really not about making money. Not in this line of business, in the life coaching, in the personal development world. And I feel that life coaching is the highest level of personal development. It's more about your true healing as a human, your true healing as a woman and as a man. Because if I can infect them, then they can infect their families and their communities. And then it begins a ripple effect, which is the reason why somebody has to be the example, which is the reason why I ask, what more can you do to expand and grow as a leader? Are you doing enough? Are you so frustrated when you're leading that you're dismissive, that you have judgment, and you have these high expectations of others that you don't even give to yourself, right? To the point where, yeah, you delegating, but if you had to do it all alone, could you do it for yourself? The answer may be yes, and then the answer may be no. But if the answer is no, or even maybe, because the ego is going to shine like, oh, I can do this by myself, but you can't. Because if you did, you would still be trying to do it by yourself. So what that means is that you have to interject grace there, because even on your worst or best day, You still need that community of people to do life with you, to do business with you. And that is the truth. So I have to remember that. Like LaKendra, you could fire them. They breaking rules left and right, and you could. But what are you truly cultivating when you're saying that you're a heart-centered leader and you're leading with love? There has to be grace there. Because I even think about when I was an employee. I used to be late every day. Every single day I was late. But for some reason, I would have heart-centered leaders who would give me grace. And we would just like exchange. Okay, so if you're gonna be late every day, like what is it that I can do for you to get you here on time? Or what are you gonna do for us because you're not getting here on time? And all those things I remember from good leadership, right? But we will get in position and we will forget our own struggles and our own incompetence. And that's the other beautiful thing, because my people know I am transparent. There's nothing to hide. There's nothing that you can throw in my face that I will not speak publicly. Because I am truly trying to cultivate love. Because if we as heart-centered leaders are not the ones that's cultivating love in our children and in our communities, then we're going to steadily have so much fear when we leave our homes, so much fear when we drop our kids off, when we're taking them to college, when we're going to church, when we're going to see a simple movie out on a family night, like all of these things. There's nowhere it's going to be safe because we're not leading. Okay? So when I'm talking about grace and leadership, this is the impact. So every time I give, and I can see my staff softening. They were hard at first, because everybody comes in with ego, like, oh, she need me, right? And I'll allow that energy to be there, because in essence, as a business owner, we really do need the people who work for us. So I don't show up and match the egotistical energy. Now, I offer some tough love. I do, and I do that. But I'm not going to match the egotistical energy, because I know how to soften that by being consistent and giving grace. And so even as I'm traveling around the world and having these conversations, when I challenge leaders, I always ask leaders, what do you feel the opposite of love is? And I get all of the answers, and I say, well, in heart-centered leadership, the opposite of love is love. If you have a choice to be mean, to be hateful, to be judgmental, then love can just be thrown out the window. But if you can challenge yourself that love is love, then you will always elevate in your leadership, despite culture, right? Despite all of that, it doesn't matter what culture you're in, or part of, or what part of the world that you're in. Grace helps us to foster the highest level of trust and collaboration. And so we need that. The other thing I want to talk about is faith, right? You know how we took faith out of the schools? They started taking faith out of the schools, prayers out of the schools. Why do you feel that was done? Where our kids are no longer connected, whether they're taking their culture, a prayer from home or whatever. Why do you think they really took it out of the schools? Why do you think people really complain about faith? Because I would say that when you are exercising faith in leadership, right? It's not limited to religious beliefs, but it encompasses an unwavering trust in one's vision and the ability to inspire others. That's how I look at it. Remove the religious part and allow people to gather in what lights them up, what makes them good humans. And that one vision to inspire others, I'm praying for you because I want to inspire change, not only within myself, but I want to inspire change in you. So typically when I tell people that I'm praying for them, it's inspirational for me. So prayer should be fine in your workplace, in your home, because that's a part of someone's belief system that makes them feel good inside. And when you are taking that away from people, you leave them with nothing. You leave them with no hope. You leave them without any type of, like, to me, that's my shield. Like, that's my weapon. So if you strip me away from that, if you strip faith away from me as a leader, then the only thing I have is what the world gives me, right? So I'm going to curse you out. I'm going to fight you. I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to stab you. And this is what we're teaching. This is like, for me, like, this is all the propaganda that all of these things that's being taken out of the hands of leaders, heart-centered leaders, to the point where we have to take on traditional ways, but we have to fight, y'all. And this is the reason why I go around the world and I teach my VIP 3 formula, and I sit down and I have these love gatherings, because I want to evoke a thought of transformation in those minds that get it. Everybody ain't gonna get it, and I'm okay with that, but those who get it, then you can go do your part and be an exceptional leader. So we have to instill faith into our teams, into our family, and we have to drive them towards a common goal. If we all, I don't care what faith you're practicing, spiritual, if you want to call it Jehovah, if you want to call it the universe, if you want to call it God, it doesn't matter. But our common goal is that we're bringing peace and serenity and compassion into this space, because it dismisses all of the negativity. And is it just a kumbaya space? No, it's not. Because I be telling y'all I run a shit show over here. I said it live, but it's such a beautiful shit show, because at some point, even in our disagreements, we come back and we discuss, we talk it out until all minds are clear. No one is walking away feeling less than. Nobody is walking away feeling confused. Like, the table is open. The door is open. And that's what faith allows you to bring in when you foster it in leadership. And the reason why so many people just can't see it, like, if you don't have faith, you have darkness, because faith brings light. It brings love and it brings light. So faith in leadership, grace in leadership, those are the things that we need, okay? Let me see what y'all are saying over here. Oh, my brother Dominic is on here. He said, love needs no translation. Love does not need any translation. I believe that. And yes, love is love. Y'all are saying that. He's watching from Kenya. Hey, love is the glue to my puzzle. I love this. What else are you saying here? Y'all said a whole bunch of stuff. I'm in a soft girl era in my leadership. I'm always a student having a girl. I love that. I've been hearing about this soft girl era. Maybe am I in my soft girl era too? Yeah. No, I'm not gonna give up on you, because it's easy. When I tell you that it's so easy to give up on you, it's easy for me to just wash my hands and go on about my business. But isn't that the tradition in leadership? Oh, you're fired. Move on, because I got more people who want to come in. And if they don't abide by what I'm saying, I'm going to fire them. And it becomes this system of, like, for me, it's like a dump truck, like a garbage truck. You stink now, and I'm going to throw you away. I don't want to wear this anymore, and I'm going to throw it away. You have no more use for me, so I'm going to throw it away. That's our mentality. We have been programmed that way. So when I'm having conversation, like with my peers, and are just like, oh, and when I tell them some of the stuff that I deal with, they're like, LaKendra, you should fire them. And I'm like, well, where would they go? How about I just help cultivate their work ethics? How about if I just help cultivate their integrity, their transparency, their loyalty, their faith? How about if I just help cultivate that, because I'm really good at it? So how about I just have the patience to help grow my people? My people that look like me. That's who work with me. People who look like me. So if I just throw them away, the first thing we say is, oh, I'm just going to work with another group of people. I'm going to go hire my cousins. Y'all know who we're talking about. I'm going to go hire somebody else because I just can't work. But if we keep having that mindset, that's the reason why our underserved and underprivileged communities continue to suffer, because we don't go back. Strong heart center leaders, we don't go back in there, because yes, we get fed up. Yes, we're tired. I get it. I've been doing it all my life. But that's the reason why you got to pour back into yourself. So when I said, what more can you do to expand? That's the first question. And that is to heal, to work on your ego, to really challenge some of those high impacted egotistical mindset that you have, thoughts that you have, like challenge them and see if there's another alternative before you speak it, before you act on it. And that's what I do. I'm going to tell, this is a true story, right? So we are the only life coach company in the world that is noted, that is medically credentialed. So we're medically credentialed to service mental and behavioral health clients, right? And the type of medical credentialing we have, most of those people are in underserved and underprivileged communities. So the way that we get reimbursed is by how we see the clients and how we submit for our billing. Well, if we're not submitting timely billing, then it delays our reimbursement. However, I had been given grace to my people, right? Because you still have bills to pay, you have a livelihood, and you not being able to pay your bills is going to greatly affect the foundation of the company. So I was just still paying them. But then sometimes when there's not a little tough love there, because there's still a way to be firm yet still be heart-centered. So what I did was I told them, I'm not going to change the way that I lead you, but I'm going to stick policy, right? Because we have policy and procedures in place. So I will say a good heart-centered company, like we have to have policies and procedures, because our hearts are just so, like, we just want to love on our people, right? So the policy says, if the company hasn't been reimbursed, you're not going to be reimbursed. And I had to hold my people's checks. Y'all, I cried. I was just like, I can't believe they're forcing me to do this. Grown ass adults. I can't believe that we've gotten to this point where this is the lesson that I have to teach them. But subconsciously, we feel that we have to endure some type of suffering, or we have to accept some type of pain and anguish in order for us to have like this level of success. And I'm telling you that you do not. You do not. You have to go deep within and you have to heal yourself. And like I told myself on yesterday in the meeting, I said, why do you feel that you have to have less than when you can have abundance, pure abundance, if you just worked on yourself, right? You got to work on yourself. So when we're offering grace and faith and then love, because what saves my staff is the love and leadership and the genuine care for their well-being and their growth. I have a genuine care. When is the last time you worked at a place that genuinely cared about your well-being and growth to the point where sometimes your well-being and your growth was put higher than the true bottom line of the company? I do know a lot of companies that exist like this because I have a lot of friends that run businesses. But for me to now be in a position and actually operating my company this way has truly, truly expanded me even more. So you have to explore how love-driven leadership can help you if you run a business. If you don't have a high level of like employee satisfaction and productivity, then you may need to explore how you're really adapting love into your business. Do you truly care about the well-being and the growth of the people that you're serving? Does it matter if they just lost their mother or their spouse or their child? Does that even matter? Does it matter that they're sick? Does it matter? Does it matter that they're having some problems with their kids and maybe they got to go to the kids' school? Does that even matter? These things have to matter because the world isn't like it used to be a decade ago. People are different. We had the great movement of people walking off their jobs. It was a term. Somebody put the term in there. People were walking off their jobs because people are fed up because there's no nurture. There's no nurture in these businesses. All they want is you to come in and be programmed like a robot and get the job done. They don't care. There's a lot of companies don't care. Those type of leaders are disconnected from this stuff. They will probably laugh at me. They would probably laugh if these Fortune 500 like companies, and you do have some Fortune 500 companies that operate in heart centeredness, but a lot of them just don't care. They want to produce the results, and they're top heavy in pay, and then the low, they're paid. You're paid the crumbs, but they want you to produce in the highest capacity as possible, and they don't care. So this is what I tell my people. This is what you want to go back to, because I'm going to still give you grace in leadership, faith in leadership, and love in leadership. And you're going to leave because you're not willing, or you're not ready to meet the demand of what? Personally caring for yourself. Personally. Because that's all that matters to me. The more people I can get to tap into their own inner growth and healing, the better our children would be, our seniors, our elderly would be. You know why I talk about the elderly all the time? Because they have wisdom and knowledge that we need. And if we're just pushing them into, these crappy, homes that don't care about them, they're being abused. We see it all the time, all day on social media. Who's protecting them? We need to have heart-centered leaders running senior communities. We need to have heart-centered leaders running schools. We need to have heart-centered leaders in government. And this is why I'm talking to leadership, because what I'm telling you is that you're not doing enough. You need to be doing more. You need to be doing more. What more can you be doing? Maybe you should be running for office. You had an idea to be running for some type of political office. When I had one of our coaches to say, Master Coach, I'm going to be the president of my country, it blew my mind. You know why? Because he's a medical doctor. But then last year, he won. He ran for chancellor of his country and he won. This is the type of movement that I'm talking about. Because just imagine him getting, becoming mayor or becoming the president. And we have a heart-centered president in his country. Just imagine the movement, the change that could possibly happen when we all come together and rightfully take our positions. But we can't rightfully take our positions when we freaking stressed out, when we're just running amok. We're living with no intentions. We're lazy. But we are the people that God created to do this job. There's so many of us that were created to do more, but because we feel however we feel, we're not good enough, I'm not educated enough, I'm shy, people ain't gonna like me, you're worried about the judgment, we will not take front and center stage. So grace, faith, love. And then we have to cultivate humility. Humility. The value of humility in leadership, right? That's what really makes the connection. When people ask me like, LaKendra, how do you, everywhere you go, do they speak English? And I'm like, not everywhere. Sometimes it's a great language barrier, but the heart speaks the same language. Did y'all hear me? Write that one down. The heart speaks the same language. And sometimes I can just really sit with a person and smile and nod and hold their hand and give them a hug. And that communication goes beyond a communication that I can have with someone who's speaking the same language and have the same understanding. The heart has the same language, holding space. When you have humility and leadership, it's easy to foster connections regardless of where you are. I go all around this world and I meet so many different people with different backgrounds, walks of life, cultures, all of the things. And what piece us together is just truly the humility that we have for humanity, the love that is there. And you can feel it. It's genuine. You can feel it. And you can really cultivate humility just by being present. If you don't know what to do, I challenge you to step outside of your comfort zone. Maybe what's one way? Maybe if you belong to a chamber, right? Find a chamber of a different nationality and join them, right? So we used to have the Hispanic chamber when I was in Irving. The Hispanic chamber also was on our floor, and I would just go and just be a part of them. Put yourself outside of your comfort zone and just go hold space and watch how beautiful things will happen for you, right? Because you will be amazed to hear the obstacles that they're working through are just like the obstacles that you're working through. The roadblocks that they may face are similar to the same roadblocks. And then that puts you in a place of humility because you're like, oh my gosh, like it's not just me and my people. No, it's all people who suffer. Everybody go through, levels of suffering. But if you don't put yourself outside of where you're comfortable, how would you ever know? All you will ever have is judgment. All you will ever have is the programming that social media give you and media gives you that makes us hate each other, judge each other, turn up our noses to each other. That's the mastery that I've been on. How can I just be so humbled and humility, regardless of where I go in this world, where I don't, where I don't spew off negative energy because of judgment. That's something that I have to work on a lot. I'm not telling y'all that this stuff is easy. It's hard, but it's so beautiful when you can accept it and you can embrace it. When you can embrace grace in leadership, when you can embrace faith in leadership and humility in leadership, your patience level will go sky high. My people tell me all the time, oh my gosh, Master Coach, you have so much freaking patience. So patience in leadership is the key to handling challenging situations, y'all, with composure and wisdom. Just because they screaming don't mean you need to be screaming, slamming doors, cursing people out. Y'all are feeling me because we've had leaders just like this who talk down on you and then turn around and you got to go back into that place and work for them. It's like nothing has ever happened. That is such an abusive relationship. And a lot of us live in these type of personal relationships, which is why we feel that they're okay to happen in a professional realm. And it is not. It's not okay. It's not okay to be verbally abused, emotionally abused, or physically abused in any space by anyone. But sometimes when we go back to love is love, and you say, no, love is emotional, the opposite of love can also be like emotional abuse. No, it's not. The opposite of love is love. Well, he or she just pushed me. And the reason why I say he or she is because my first caseload were battered men. I had over a dozen men that I coached that were in neglectful relationships where their wives abused them. So women aren't the only people that are abused. Also men are too. And these men were leaders and they would have to go and show up as, them fighting to find their manhood because their men demasculated in their homes. And then they would go into their workplaces and be poor leaders because that's the only place where they had authority. So they would abuse their authority because, no one is going to abuse me here at this job because that's how it happened, right? Like when I see poor leaders, the first thing I ask them is your home life. If you get your home life together, you would be such a better leader here. I never forget when I said that to my very first awful boss. He came to my room and oh my gosh, y'all, he opened my door and he yelled at me and he said, you need to get your ass down to my office right now. He was so angry at something that he thought that I did, but I really didn't do it. And in that moment, my students are in the classroom who are all diagnosed with an emotional disturbance, right? So I have these high-level kids. They want to fight him because, oh, I dare you come in here and talk to Miss K like this. And he's like, get your ass down to my office right now. And all I could do is I looked at him and said, I am going to go to your office right now. And as I am going to your office, I'm going to need for you to try to calm yourself down. So by the time I make it to your office, you're calm because you're not going to talk to me in this tone. So anyway, we get to his office. He closes the door. And I looked at him and said, you must not be loved at home. And y'all, that man looked at me and laughed. He said, you know what? The people told me that you was crazy up here. You don't talk to me this way. I said, I'm just saying because I can't even hear you yelling and screaming. So this doesn't have anything to do with me. This has everything to do with what's happening outside of here. And anyway, it turned into a beautiful relationship. He became one of my favorite principals and he's doing great, great things. So I was like, you just need to get some therapy, and our relationship grew. And I just really said all of that because When you're in a challenging situation, you're going to respond to what you have experienced, how you have experienced situations. So if it's been stressful, if it's been in yelling, if it's been in isolation, if it's been in like disappearing, like all the things, like whatever your closest memory is of dealing with that situation is how you're going to respond in your workplace, in your community, and in your home. And that's the truth. And if you don't start working on those things, what we have in our society now, we're going to continue to have even more of it. Heart center folks. So, patience and leadership is a part of this journey. It's a part of this journey. And so, when I created my life coach training, my life coach certification, and at first it was just very generic, and then as I started to grow more into a leader, and I started seeing the need of leaders needing a space to come and learn how to truly lead with love. Then I started to kind of change up some of the materials in my certification, and I created a life coach certification for leaders. That's how the new direction of my life coach certification, truly came 360. And it's the inspiration behind it is, if heart center leaders do not step up and do more and expand more, then we're going to lose this race. You're going to always be fearful for where your kids go. Did y'all just see the new thing that's on social media of the woman who sent her child to the daycare, a baby? I don't even think she's 2 years old. And the child care worker was taking her hand and dipping it in scalding hot water. And she took it and put it back in, and finally the baby started hollering and screaming. And she was like, "Good job." We're having demonic people in spaces that they don't need to be in. They're overseeing our children. They're overseeing our elderly. They're in our communities. They're your neighbors. They're all these things. So if we're not positioning ourselves to be out in our communities teaching, to be running workshops, on emotional intelligence and healing, like if we're not the people who are doing it, then who's doing it? Who's doing it? Great. I'm glad that you're making money. I'm glad that you have a business where you can make multiples of millions of dollars. But how are you giving back? What changes are you implementing inside of your brand where it is pouring back into those that need to hear from you? What are you doing? Because if it wasn't for our communities, we couldn't even make money. So, as a heart center leader, it is our duty to go back into those spaces and serve and provide services. And this is the shit people don't want to hear from me. But if we don't do it, then who is doing it? Teachers who will fight your child because they smack their lips at them. A police officer who's not emotionally equipped to be a police officer that will pull you over, and it may be your last pullover. Government who can care less about what a community have and what a community, doesn't have. These are the people who are in position who don't care. Even our churches are failing the community. Everything it's just about money now. How much money can I make? How much richer can I be? I want to be in Forbes. I want to be listed as one of the richest people in the world. I want to be the first black this or the first this to get $1 billion. I want to be the first billionaire. But how are you expanding in your leadership where it's effecting change? So when I recreated the life coach certification, and I said that my life coach certification is now for leaders, it's because it will challenge you. It's challenging, y'all. Ooh, it's challenging. There's many, 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 many tears. Many, many tears in that course, because it will challenge you to see yourself in the light right now, your current light. And it emphasizes that leaders should embrace grace, faith, love, humility, and patience in their leadership roles, and how to cultivate that into others that we are influencing. Because there is a way that it can even be cultivated in those that you influence. And I have so many success stories and testimonials of leaders, who have completed the program and experienced positive transformation in their leadership styles. There's some on here. Those of you on here who have been transformed, taking the life coach certification for leaders, say your piece in here, because it is a game changer when you don't know, or when you feel like you don't have the tools of where do you start. So I encourage y'all. That's my little link, my Linktree link. Write my Linktree link down and go check it out. My Linktree link will link you to all of my sites. That's all geared towards leaders expanding and doing more. So these are my insights. I'm going to come in and I'm going to do these insights. I'm going to perfect how I do these insights, because it's always progress over perfection for me. And these are my insights, and these are my experiences that is truly helping me to grow better as a leader. And so, as we kind of close out this gathering, this love gathering, this is a love gathering, y'all. Okay. So after we close out this love gathering, I want y'all to remember that leadership with these qualities is what's going to help make the world a better place. And it's just one leader at a time. I'm not trying to save the world, but one leader at a time. Because look at me, I'm already impacting over 20 leaders. And then they're going to impact whoever they're going to come in contact with. And then it's just going to be this synergy going on and on and on. I believe in that. And that's the reason why I have committed myself to the Leading with Love Global Tour, which you're all welcome to join me. That's the reason why we incorporated a travel agent this year. And so wait a minute, Nappy Coach says it's heart surgery. So when I teach the model, so we have a model that we teach. It's a global heart model. And in the model, faith is instilled in there because we're talking about principles and our core values. And y'all, it's tough. When I tell you it's tough, it rehabilitates me every time. I have to spend a couple of days just coming down off of the teaching. I have to spend days doing that. So if you are interested in becoming a life coach leader or a life coach educator, it doesn't matter what profession that you're in. If you're ready to do more and you just don't know. You know that you're stuck in your own, you know, in your own mess. I'm just going to call it like it is, right? You stuck there. Whether it's you don't have a good relationship with your, you know, with your mom or your dad or your sibling, like that's keeping you from growing and expanding because you don't have a sense of family because you're in turmoil with your family. This certification helps you learn how to be responsible for those things and self-coach yourself. Self-coach yourself through transformation of that. Maybe you're in a, a poor, you could be in a better relationship. And I don't never tell people to leave relationships but if you can cultivate a better relationship, and if you can do that, then the next option is you got to do something. Because why do you feel that you deserve to be in an unhealthy space when God said, like, I give life more abundantly? We should have more abundance than suffering. We're not, I'm not excused from suffering at all, but I do have more abundance than suffering. So as leaders, we are like positioned, and I deal with high level leaders, right? I deal with leaders who are 6 and 7, 7 and multiple six figures, and they figured out how to make money, but their life is in shambles, their personal life. When they go home, there's no life. They only have life in business. That's where they shine. That's where people see them. But when they go home, they're in darkness. But what if I can help you to expand? Like, you live this world over here, and then when you come over here, it's a different world. So there's a gap. But what if I can help you expand the gap where you feel the same joy and abundance here and here? That's the goal. Because the more you do that, the more you're going to be able to do to expand and grow as a leader. That's it. That's truly how you do it. When people ask me how I do it, what I said was, I'm only one being, but I was living like this being over here and this being over here. I was living with all these different masks on. And then when I was mentored by beautiful Monk Tashi. And what happened was he allowed me to see that I was just this one entity. And so as I started to expand, I started to close gaps. And now I just live this world as me. This is all that I have to give y'all. And it's simple. I'm not complex. I ain't trying to be all high and theological, none of that. I just want to give it to you simple because that's how simple it is. That's how life is so simple. And they made us think that it has to be so complex because you're nothing if you don't have a degree and you don't have all of these accolades, because that's the only way that you can prove that you're worthy. And it's a lie. It's a lie. I allow people to come in and take our life coach certification even without that stuff. And they're some of the best people to ever love humanity. It's about your heart and where you want your heart to be positioned. Do you want it to be positioned where it's in continuous healing and elevation? Or do you want it to be positioned in just this one dimensional way, which is like what the world is feeding you? Because if you let it stay there, you're not going to ever expand. It's going to be hard for you to be consistent in the life that you deserve to live in that life. So think about these qualities. I'm going to wrap it up. Grace in leadership, faith in leadership, love in leadership, humility in leadership, and patience in leadership. Those are the qualities in leadership that you should want to journey with so you can have a valuable impact on your life in this world. And that's what I believe in. So thank y'all for tuning in, honey, because I'm just gonna be jumping on. I be trying to like schedule these things out, but that's why we have social media. So people can come back and catch replays and you can reshare it out and things. So those of you who are up and you were hanging in here with me, thank you for hanging in here with me. So I'll see y'all next time. I have the beautiful opportunity to take my core team to see the Beyonce of a life coaching, honey. And that is the wonderful master life coach himself, Tony Robbins. And we will be plugged in from Thursday to Sunday. It's going to be like we off the grid. They don't even understand. They haven't even never experienced it. It's like we're going to be off the grid and we're going to be into ourselves, accountable and responsible for the next transformation of our life. We're going to be moving in 2024 with so much power and so much intention. And I am so blessed that I was able to bless them with this opportunity, because that's what it's all about. If you're not in the business of helping to produce heart center leaders, then you're in a business of helping to corrupt leadership. So what side are you on? I know what side I'm on. So sending y'all love and light, and I'll see you when I see you. Go check out my Linktree link and connect with me. Peace.